Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Teresa Woodard in the WFAA studios in Victory Park in Dallas. We want to go live now to Austin, where Governor Greg Abbott is beginning a briefing about the severe winter weather that is threatening all of our state. Let's listen in.
Hear us very clearly. All of Texas is facing an extremely dangerous winter storm in the coming days. A disaster declaration has already been declared for all 254 counties in Texas. Every part of the state of Texas will face freezing conditions, meaning that includes all the way down to Brownsville, Texas, will face freezing conditions over the coming days. Many of those locations across the state of Texas, the high temperature for a day will be in the single digits. The severity of the cold weather that is about to be experienced here in the coming days is unprecedented in Texas history. And we need people across the state to get ready for this extremely harsh conditions that are coming. The ultra low temperatures will last for several days, meaning that what becomes frozen will remain frozen for a long period of time. Every part of the state will be getting either snow or ice. Some snow accumulations will break records and will make movement virtually impossible. We have all essential agencies in the state of Texas that are actively involved in helping the state respond already. I'm going to run through some of the things that some agencies have done, and then others will be described by the other participants in this press conference today. Roads will be one of the biggest challenges that people will be facing. For the Texas Department of Transportation, they have 25 regions in the state of Texas. All 25 regions are already working 24/7 around the clock to address challenges in those regions. All 25 TxDOT regions have winter weather conditions. I want to give out a number that I think may be showing behind me. There's a website address you can go to. There's a telephone number you can go to find out information about roadways across the state. One on the internet would be drivetexas.org. That's drivetexas.org. Or you can call 1-800-452-9292. Already, there are more than 1,000 roadway segments that have snow or ice on them. And the worst part of the weather storm hasn't even hit the state yet. Over 1,000 pieces of TxDOT equipment are being used, more than 1,600 employees, and 745 snow plows are activated. Pre-treatment for roadways began on Tuesday and has continued since then. All 25 Texas Department of Transportation regions have received pre-treatment on multiple roads in each of those regions. The treatment will help, but I cannot emphasize what I am about to say enough. The effectiveness of the treatments will be limited because of the ultra-low temperature. The temperature will go so low and remain so low for so long, it will mean that there will be many roads across the entire state that will be extremely dangerous and treacherous to drive on. There will also be roads that get closed because of the snow and ice. Road closures typically will be up to either law enforcement or local officials. So it's so important, both with regard to roadways as well as other issues, to listen to and to heed local warnings and local directions. But the state will be working with local officials, as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety will be engaged in the process of closing down roads that are either impassable or that are too dangerous to drive. One thing that's going to happen, and that is there will be people who will venture out, and there will be people who will get stranded. And we want you to know that if you do get stranded, you need to make a call immediately. And the place where you find the number is on the back of your driver's license. On the back of your driver's license, there is a phone number to call for roadside assistance. I will tell you the number now. It's 800-525-5555. Along those lines, the Department of Public Safety Director, Steve McCraw, said, and I quote, "There are no experts when it comes to driving on ice." Some people think they will know how to drive on ice, and there have been some people who've driven on ice before and snowed before. But these conditions are so unprecedented in so many regions of the state of Texas. There will be so many other people who have never driven on ice before. And it could be one of the most hazardous things that you can do. Once you lose control of your vehicle on ice, it can lead to exactly what we saw happen in Fort Worth, Texas, earlier this week. We as a state, and everybody in this state, we should have several collective goals over the next few days, one of which should be that we will not replicate what happened in Fort Worth, Texas, that we will not allow anybody else to be involved in these mass accidents or any accident of any kind. This is the kind of thing that every Texan has the capability of themselves being responsible for, making sure it does not happen. And that is not getting out on the roads in a way that will cause you and cause others to be involved in traffic accidents. The DPS director also said that all travelers will be very vulnerable. Stranded travelers may be exposed to extreme cold temperatures for long periods of time. Imagine if you're out on the roadway and you run out of gas, or imagine if you're on the roadway and you run into snow and you're incapable of moving. Who knows how long you will be stuck in that position? And the temperature that you will be in may be 10 degrees or less. Your life will be compromised simply because of the harsh weather conditions if you get out and get stuck. There will be people that you can try to call, such as that number that I gave you earlier, such as DPS officers that will be working to help stranded drivers, as well as other agencies. But no one knows how long it may take for them to be able to reach you. And so if you do get stranded, you are putting yourself in a position where your life could be compromised simply because of the ultra-low cold temperatures. The Department of Public Safety has already worked on more than 1,000 crashes just since this past Thursday that have resulted in more than 10 fatalities. And this, of course, is only expected to get worse if people do not heed the warning to stay off of the roads. To assist roadways as well as to assist public safety in general, the Texas Department of Public Safety has deployed 3,000 troopers that are working 24/7. The National Guard is also working to help in this effort. They are working primarily to assist the Department of Public Safety as well as other state agencies to help things like stranded travelers. They will also be conducting welfare checks in remote areas across the state. And so let me explain this a little bit. There are so many areas across the state that may not be within cities and may not have easy access to things that people need. There could be areas where people run out of power or people get stranded out in fields, whatever the case may be. The National Guard will be there to try to help, but they may not know exactly where everybody is who is in a difficult situation. Again, if you find yourself in a difficult situation, reach out and call local law enforcement, call whatever you need to call, including the number on the back of your driver's license, so that people can try to come help you. But just know that the National Guard will be there to assist people in remote areas. Texas Parks and Wildlife will also be assisting. They've deployed well over 400 vehicles to respond to needs such as accidents or stranded drivers. They also have search and rescue teams, including both aviation and drones, that will be looking for anybody and assisting anybody who may be stranded in any type of situation. And the Texas Forest Service has deployed personnel as well as resources across the state, including chainsaw crews, to help clear roads. Among other things, one of the big challenges that we're going to be facing, especially Monday and Tuesday, will be power. Power in the state of Texas will be very stressed, and others will be talking about that here shortly. Demand for power is expected to potentially exceed supply during parts of Monday and Tuesday. The chair of the Public Utilities Commission, as well as Bill Magnus from ERCOT, will talk more about that shortly. But here's the deal. We do, as a state, have the ability to ensure that we do not run out of power. To do that, however, we need everybody in the state to pitch in and to follow the directions that will be given here shortly about ways that we can reduce power usage on Monday and Tuesday to make sure that there will be no outage whatsoever. We need all Texans to pitch in and to help out ensure that we have plenty of power that will be needed to make sure that we keep our fellow Texans warm. Power companies have crews in place already, as well as having received crews from other states. And this is so important because one thing that we anticipate is with all of the frozen ice on trees and tree limbs and other objects, we do expect a large number of trees and tree limbs falling and compromising power lines. And we need every single power crew that we have already lined up to be fully engaged 24/7 to assist in that process to get power back up and running as quickly as possible. In addition to the state disaster declaration that I've already made, our team has already spoken with the White House and let them know that as soon as we finish our press conference here today, I am asking for a federal emergency declaration, and that formal request will go in momentarily. This is going to be a very challenging time for Texas and for Texans, but it is a challenge that we know that our fellow Texans are up to. And if everyone follows the responsible steps that they themselves can control, we are going to get through this challenge in ways that reduce the loss of life, that maximize our ability to access the power that we need, and that also maximizes the safety and security of everybody in this state. With that, I'm going to pass it to the Chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management, Nim Kidd.
Thank you, Governor. And thank you to all the Texans that are out there that are staying off the roads right now. I think the highways are going to be one of the more dangerous places to be right now, not only for people driving, but for our first responders, our TxDOT employees, those out there trying to keep the roads open. Please do your part and stay off of our roads for the next few days, if at all possible, because of the severe weather conditions. Also working with our local cities and counties, there are over 30 warming centers that are open at the local level right now. You can call 211 or 311 in your area for the address to those warming centers, working with our local partners to make sure that the homeless are taken care of and moved inside. As the governor said, these weather conditions are going to be very stressful right now to the human body with the prolonged cold that we plan on having. And so please make sure that check on your neighbors. We got to take care of people, we got to take care of pets, and we got to take care of our pipes. Another thing I want to mention and talk about is carbon monoxide. Every time we have power losses, we lose people to carbon monoxide poisoning. It's a silent killer. Please help us get the message out. Do not burn gas-burning appliances inside your home. If you're going to use some sort of heater outside, make sure that it's away from windows that may be open, drawing that carbon monoxide in. Carbon monoxide is a preventable death. So please, we do believe we have about 16,000 customers without power right now. This could go on for a while. Help us get the message out to be very aware of carbon monoxide. That's all I have, Governor.
Thank you. And I want to double down on one thing that you talked about. In addition to avoiding monoxide poisoning, many people that will have their homes or where they're living subject to this ultra cold weather may not have been through this before, and may not have been through this as long as we will be experiencing this with temperatures below freezing for such a long time. They need to take the caution and steps that are needed to make sure they don't have frozen pipes that will wind up bursting. If you haven't had that happen before, it can flood your entire house as soon as that ice begins to melt. And so there are simple precautionary actions that you can take to make sure that you will not have frozen pipes that wind up bursting that flood your house in the coming days. Next, I want to pass things over to Commissioner Christy Craddock of the Texas Railroad Commission.
Thank you, Governor. Obviously, electricity is important, but also gas is, and so the Railroad Commission regulates the gas. And one of the things that we did last night, meaning Friday night at 6:30, was approve an emergency order to temporarily amend our Rule 489, which is our rule about who gets priority in gas. And we added electric generation facilities serving human needs customers. We added it to a higher priority. So to ensure our gas supplies, our first two that are our groups that are important today and continuing always are residences, hospitals, schools, churches, and other human needs customers, and deliveries to local distribution companies, meaning the gas that comes into your house. We want to make sure that that gas stays on, but use it smart. Please don't use it where we have carbon monoxide issues. And the other place that we have elevated again is to electric generation facilities which serve human needs customers. So the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't out right now. So gas and coal and nuclear are very important today to make sure those are on, and we want to make sure that the gas is flowing in the state. So we appreciate people being thoughtful about their use of gas, and be safe with gas. If you have an issue, call your local gas company. Make sure you don't light something or do something you're not supposed to. That causes accidents, and we want to make sure that, again, carbon monoxide is a priority. Those issues can be remediated pretty easily. Be smart about it, but we want to make sure gas and power is flowing in the state. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks, and thanks to you and the Railroad Commission for taking that swift action in advance.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Sure. And now we have the Chair of the Public Utilities Commission, Deanne Walker.
Thank you, Governor Abbott. As Governor Abbott stated, we are facing extreme demand on the system for Monday and Tuesday. We have been working the past few days trying to address that. We've worked with ERCOT, with the Railroad Commission, and all market participants to be proactive in trying to find solutions. At this point, we really have no additional generation that we can add to the system to address the issues. So therefore, it comes from conservation and demand management, and that's where we need your help. We ask that everyone start conserving energy Sunday through Tuesday. I have a few points that seem minor, but they really do make a difference. One is turning your thermostat to 68 or lower, especially if you're not home. Please do that. Close your shades and blinds so that it reduces the amount of heat that leaves your home. Turning off and unplugging non-essential equipment that you have in your home. If you have a toaster plugged in and you don't need it, please unplug that, because it still does draw current from if it's just plugged in. And last, if you could avoid using large appliances during especially the peak, which is the morning and evening. If you could not do your laundry or dishwashing and stuff like that, that would be very helpful to us also. The last thing I wanted to add is to a point that Governor Abbott had, and that is down power lines. If you encounter a down power line, please do not try to go up to it or anything. Please call your utility or 311 and let them know there's a down power line. Even if they're on the ground, they can still be hot and still could cause death and injury to you. So please do not go up to any type of down lines, especially with trees around them. Thank you, Governor.
Very good. Thank you. And now with ERCOT, we have Bill Magnus.
Thank you, Governor. ERCOT's job is primarily fundamentally to balance supply and demand on the electric system in Texas. And as Chairman Craddock, Chairman Walker, and the governor have said, the extraordinary weather conditions we're seeing that will persist for a few days and go all the way through Texas are posing a challenge both to the supply and to the demand. Obviously, it's generating demand that rivals almost what we see in the summers. Extraordinary demands on the system for winter in Texas. And on the supply side, it makes gas harder to move around, it freezes wind turbines, makes the generation of power more difficult. And we have good supplies of power in Texas, and we have everybody out there in the utility industry working to make it available, even in this terrible weather, to everybody in Texas. And maintaining that balance when we have so many challenges really does rely on people, just as Chairman Walker said, to take a few steps. They can be taken safely. They can be taken in your home or in your businesses, but just as Chairman Walker said, lower that thermostat, close those blinds, and you can reduce the amount of power that's needed on the system. And that's what narrows that gap between supply and demand. That's what keeps us in balance, and that's what will help all of Texas get through what, as the governor has said, is an extraordinary period that we're facing these next few days. ERCOT will be identifying conditions on the system. If folks want to be informed and keep up with what we're doing on the power system, you can download our free app, ERCOT.com, or we're on Twitter. We'd encourage you to follow those notices as we go through various conditions in these next few days, and really appreciate everyone's participation in making sure Texas gets through this with power available to everyone. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. And then last, I want to thank everybody behind the cameras. Behind the cameras is the State Operations Center personnel. Texas has more federally declared disasters than any other state. And we have the best emergency response experts of any state in the United States. They are here 24/7. And I want to thank them for their time and their service to make sure that we're stepping up and keeping Texas as normal as possible during times of extraordinary events like what we were about to experience. Their tireless work makes all the difference in the lives of 30 million Texans, and we thank them for it. We'll take a few questions. Yes?
Will the weather event that we're seeing now, as well as the snow we saw last month, influence any investment decisions going forward with state resources?
You say investment decisions?
Yeah, like investing more in public utilities or more in like salt and sand.
Yeah, right. So, we constantly evaluate and reevaluate what tools we have that are needed to respond to situations like this. Obviously, this will be probably more snow over a larger swath of land to a higher degree than ever before in Texas history. And we will see where we stack up with regard to the supplies that we have. If we are able to handle this, it would mean that we have enough. But there will likely be needed investments in the aftermath of this for multiple reasons. Roadways are going to be torn up to a large degree in many segments across the state. There will need to be heavy investments in road repairs across the state. That'll be the number one investment. And then in addition to that, any other potential equipment that would help us be able to better respond. We learn from every disaster. We learn from Hurricane Harvey, new strategies and tools that were needed to respond to it. And we had an entire session devoted to addressing it. We are in session right now, and this will give the legislature an opportunity to evaluate what tools we had available and what tools we may need going forward.
When I was driving here, I saw a few people speeding, and that kind of worries me a little bit. Is there a possibility that this weather will get so bad where first responders might not even be able to get to who they need to get to?
If traffic remains heavy on the roadways in the coming days as the snow and ice comes down, it will endanger the people who are on those roads, and it will make it difficult for the Department of Public Safety or local law enforcement to be able to move around just in general. But if they are tied up responding to accidents, their ability to respond to other accidents that may be happening would be compromised and limited. And so it's going to be very, very difficult and challenging for DPS and local law enforcement to be able to respond to all the accidents. The one way we can make sure that does not happen is to ensure that as the snow and ice come down, people will just take a day off from having to go on the roads, because almost anybody going over the roads over the next few days is taking their life and other lives in their own hands, because it will be very dangerous driving on roadways the next few days.
That really tragic violence that happened in Fort Worth, and we also have one in Austin. What did you guys learn from that? Is there something that you guys are going to take into consideration what's happening on Monday and Tuesday?
Well, whenever accidents like what you mentioned happen, like in Fort Worth and Austin, et cetera, there are always investigations conducted in the aftermath of those accidents so that we can learn from them and make sure that we make changes as needed that could cause the roadways to be safer. And we'll be doing the same thing during the course of and in the aftermath of this winter storm that will sweep across the state this week.
Governor, I have a COVID question. California has vaccinated 4 million more people than Texas has. What would you like to do? What do you think we should be doing to increase the vaccination rate?
So the vaccination rate in Texas is going exceptionally well. Texas ranks number 2 in the nation for most vaccinations. We vaccinated, forgot the number now, 132,000 today, something like that. We're averaging well over 130,000 vaccinations per day. There's only one thing that we actually need to vaccinate more people, and he's laughing because he knows we can vaccinate more people if the federal government gets us more vaccines. If you look at the percentage of first doses that have been administered, is 92% of the doses that we have allocated to us have been administered. The challenge is not administering vaccines. We're able to administer in any one site either thousands or sometimes well over 10,000 doses in a single day at a vaccine site. In smaller locations, they're able to do hundreds per day. We have mastered the capability of administering vaccines. Our hands are tied when it comes to the vaccines available to us. As a result, we've already reached out to the federal government asking for Texas to get a larger number of vaccines, and that request has been responded to already. When you see the announcement that's already been made about these super sites that are going up, there are 3 super sites in Texas that will begin probably the week after this next one, where in any one site, like in Houston, I think it's 6,000 vaccines per day, and they will be doing that 7 days a week for 4 weeks, if I understand correctly. 6 weeks? I'm sorry. 7 days a week for 6 weeks, 6,000 a day. And then 2 other locations, one at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, the other at Dallas Cowboy Football Stadium, Arlington, where they will at each of those sites be doing 3,000 vaccines 7 days a week for 6 weeks. That will help on the supply side. The other thing that will be extremely helpful on the supply side is the arrival of the Johnson & Johnson vaccination. One thing I find extremely frustrating is the slow pace at which the FDA is moving. The FDA has already had all the information from Johnson & Johnson for weeks now, and why they're sitting on it and not rushing it through is beyond explanation, because they could be saving lives. They have all the data they need. They need to be working around the clock to get that vaccination approved. Also, AstraZeneca has been approved in other countries already. And why has it not been approved in the United States of America? The FDA is dragging its feet, and they need to speed things up and get vaccines to places like Texas.
We have any other weather-related questions? And do we think that the vaccine distribution this week is going to be delayed because of this winter storm?
Great question. So Chief Demkidd is the administrator of this, and of getting the vaccines out and the receiving and distribution of it. I'll let him respond to it. If you would, let her know 2 things. One, is it going to slow the arrival of vaccines to us? Second, is it going to slow our ability to administer the ones that we do have?
So I'll answer the second part of the question first. The vaccines that we do have here, some of the local facilities that were outdoor facilities have shut down. Indoor vaccination administration, as long as it is still safe to drive there, will continue. But the feds have already told us that our vaccines that are set to arrive on Sunday, Monday will probably not arrive until Wednesday, Thursday. So we will see delays in vaccine coming into the state.
Are we in danger of vaccine that we have on hand is because of the storm?
No, sir, we're not.
They need cold storage. They have cold
We've got
storage right
cold.
now.
Expected hold or non-weather questions to answer to make sure we get this information out to Texas.
Have you talked to any other state governors who normally deal with this type of weather to either get advice or?
We regularly talk to our fellow governors, including governors in colder regions of the country, and they freely share advice and tips and things like that. But, I mean, candidly, if you look at parts of Texas, this is something we deal with frequently in the Panhandle, for example, in Wichita Falls, where I was born, and regions like that. We see cold weather like this. It's a matter of taking what we learn from other states, but also taking what we have learned from other regions in Texas and making sure that is employed effectively in the Rio Grande Valley, where this hardly ever happens, where I saw in Laredo it's going to be in the 20s or maybe even the teens, in places as far reaching as Corpus Christi and even the Houston area, where people may have never experienced driving on ice. That is our challenge.
Any other weather questions?
Great. Thank y'all so much.
You've been watching Texas Governor Greg Abbott as he updated all of us on the situation facing the state of Texas. Unprecedented in Texas history is a quote from him. He says every part of the state of Texas will be facing freezing conditions. A couple of major headlines that came out of this. Number one, road conditions, and number two, the potential for there to be extreme demand that supply cannot meet on our power grid across Texas. So there are some suggestions that the state of Texas is asking for all of us to follow. Number one, he wants you to turn your thermostat to 68 degrees or below. That will help conserve energy across the state. Number two, close your blinds, close your shades, because the Public Utilities Commission says that will help keep heat from escaping through the windows of your home. Unplug things. Now, this is a big one for a lot of us because I think we all leave things plugged in constantly and we're kind of sucking power from that power grid when we don't need to. So if you're not using your laptop, you maybe don't need to keep it plugged in. If you're not using the toaster, unplug the toaster. And then finally, don't do your laundry, don't run your dishwasher at some of those peak hours. So that would be in the morning when everybody's waking up and trying to heat their houses back up, and in the evening when maybe people are starting to get a little cold inside their houses and trying to warm them up as well. So those are really the big asks from the state of Texas right now. I've never heard the governor sort of with this tone that this is going to be dangerous. This is going to be life-threatening, and he's really asking for Texans to heed that. I talked about power. Now, quickly on the road conditions. I know right now out there, you may be looking at me and thinking, you're crazy. The sun is out across part of Dallas-Fort Worth, and I've actually received some tweets from people who are saying, this isn't really going to happen, is it? Well, the sun is out, and yes, we have gotten above freezing in some parts, but you guys, this is real. This is just a little reprieve. It is coming. It is about to hit us. And Kaylee's going to talk about your forecast in just a second. But as you can see, there have been crews out there trying their best to get ahead of potential road problems. But the other warning from Governor Abbott was, we're going to be so cold across the state of Texas that a lot of these pre-treatments just don't work. So don't go out if you don't have to. You're really in your final hours where maybe it's safe if you still have to go somewhere, but try not to venture out of the course of maybe the next 48 to 72 hours. Just sit inside, do your very best to stay safe. That's a live look at some of the roadways. And again, I know as you're looking at this and you're telling me I'm crazy, I'm not crazy. It is going to happen. Clearly the roadways are okay right now, but don't get overzealous out there and don't get over courageous and think you guys are telling us that lies. No, this is really going to happen. So let's go over to Kaylee Dion right now. She's in studio with us. And Kaylee, I'm trying to stress this because again, I've heard tweets. I've received some tweets from people who are saying this isn't really that big of a deal. The sun is out right now. But I want to stress to people it is. It's coming.
Welcome to the life of a meteorologist.
Yes.
On pretty much any big weather event that you have. And you know, the thing we're trying to do is basically give you the information, give you the tools to be able to do the right thing. If we waited until it was too late to give you those tools, then you would be mad because we waited till it was too late. So
yes.
It's sunny out there right now. You have a little bit of time. We're going to go over the timing, but I'll tell you, you were talking about doing your laundry. This is the most efficient I've been at getting my laundry done. ever. So all my laundry is done, so check. All right, let's talk about everything. So this is a very complicated situation. So we've got a multi-day event. We're going to go step by step. I want you to make sure that you understand what's going to be going on hour by hour. So we're going to start with what's going on out there right now, which is some good news actually. At Love Field, it's 34 degrees. Wind chill, though, feels like the upper 20s. Here's a live look at DFW Airport, 33 degrees. We hit 33 degrees at 2:22 this afternoon. What does that mean? That means we went and dropped below freezing at 5 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. We finally broke the stretch of being below freezing. It was a total of 93 hours total. That's over 3.5 days. We get a little bit of a break because tonight we're going to drop below freezing, and then we're going to be like that for several days. So wide look at North Texas right now, where you can see that we have about 28 in Mejia, 32 in Waxahachie, 34 in Dallas, 31 in Decatur, and the wind chill out there is anywhere from the teens to lower 20s. We're going to get into a little bit more detail of the wind chill as we go into the weekend coming up, but I do want to touch on tonight's really quickly, where we're going to see temperatures drop into the teens and lower 20s. Really not moving much from where we are right now, but look at this. Yep, that's the wind chill. We're starting that dangerous wind chill tonight. Single digits. It gets worse as we move into Sunday night, Monday night. It's going to be very, very cold. But I want to go into the winter storm warning. Everyone in North Texas is in that winter storm warning. Heavy snow is possible. I've upped accumulations to, instead of 3 to 7, 4 to 8. Really not much of a difference, but 4 to 8 along with that bitter cold scenario. All 254 counties in the state of Texas are under some type of winter weather alert. Look at this. And a good portion of our state is in the winter storm warning. And if I step over so you can see much of the country, much of the midsection of the country, all the way up to New England is dealing with a storm. So, you know, what is a winter storm? When we say that, what are we talking about? Well, it means it's simple. A significant winter weather event is imminent. Snow, ice, sleet, blowing snow, or a combination. And unfortunately for us, we have the combination. So a warning means you don't need to prepare anymore. You need to take action. And travel will become very difficult. That starts tonight, and we're going to go through the timeline in a second. Delay travel until conditions improve. This is the time you've been waiting for. I just want to sit and watch TV. I just want to play games with my kid. I just want to be able to do nothing. This is it. Enjoy it, because we're going to have several days where you really shouldn't be getting out and doing anything. Right now, we have breaks in the clouds. We have a little bit of sunshine. We have cloud cover in some spots, so unfortunately you're not seeing that sun. But let's talk about tonight. Let's look at tonight and what we can expect. We're going to stay dry for the next several hours. I'm not expecting any precipitation, at least for DFW, until we get closer to 10, 11, even midnight tonight. You see the pink here? That's how it's going to start. There's a small layer of the atmosphere above the surface that is just above 32 degrees. That is why, instead of snow, because you're thinking it's cold, why are we seeing this? Well, it's because above the surface matters. I like to talk about this in pancakes because I love pancakes. So each pancake stack, we have a pancake stack on our plate. We are the bottom pancake. Everything on top of us, each pancake has its own temperature, has its own dew point, which is the measure of the moisture, has its own wind speed, and that all matters when we're talking about winter weather and really any type of weather event. So we're going to see that whole column of air cool down below 32 degrees overnight, but it's going to take overnight to do that. So you'll see it transition to snow from west to east. So this freezing rain is going to continue for DFW at least until we get into early Sunday morning. Then it's going to transition to all snow. Here's the concern with that. As we go into tomorrow and we're going to look at what our winter weather worries are going to be, you're going to have that glaze of ice. They're going to cause the roads to be slick because of the freezing rain. Then we're going to add snow on top of that. You're not going to be able to see that glaze of ice anymore at all in some locations that start to see that. So that's why Sunday morning, starting tonight through Monday, you really don't want to get out on those roads. Plus, we got to add wind chills as we go through tonight into tomorrow morning, single digits to lower teens for many locations. So what about Sunday? It's going to be on and off. It may come to an end for your area close to lunch hour for a little bit. You may think, oh, well, we didn't get very much. Well, that's because there's going to be more that comes in behind it. Then you may have another time frame as we go into the evening where it breaks off a little bit and you dry up and you don't see any snow anymore. Another round's going to be pushing in from the south. That's how Sunday's going to go. So it's all going to be snow. We're going to have time frames where we see moderate to heavy snowfall, and then there's going to be times where it goes little to nothing. All of it moving out for most of us by early Monday morning, and that is the end of that, okay? But we also have winds that are going to be gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour as we go into Sunday night and Monday morning. So we're talking snowfall totals 4 to 8 inches and blowing snow. We could have snow drifts as tall as Kaylee, okay? 4 foot, I'm 4'10". I really hope we don't get as high as me, but it's going to be really darn close, all right? So that's what we're looking at with Sunday night into Monday. Then freezing rain early for some locations for tomorrow morning. That's going to come to an end in the morning, and then everyone is snow for the rest of the day. Then that'll drop off. Wind chills will be below 0 by the time we get Sunday into Monday. That's when we hit below 0, and we will stay that way. So that was a lot of information. I kind of look at this like I'm taking statistics class, and I want to go back over that information because that's a lot, right? Okay, so we're going to write it down because it's easier in an outline. So Saturday night starts tonight. I would say for spots to the south and west of the Metroplex, you're going to start anywhere after about 8 o'clock tonight. Then DFW, you're looking at closer to 10 o'clock midnight. Light amounts of ice, then it transitions to snow. So the morning mix will transition to snow from west to east. Then snow begins to accumulate, and it will accumulate fast with moderate to heavy snow possible Sunday evening through early Monday morning. Blizzard-like conditions, and that is because of that wind that's going to be gusting 25 to 30. Visibility will be low, the drifting on east to west roadways because our winds are out of the north. So you're really going to see that drift on those roadways that are going to be going east to west, all right, or west to east, whichever way you want to put it. Then as we go into Monday, snow will come to an end, but that's when some of the most dangerous wind chills settle in. So let's go ahead and go back over the accumulation. 6 to 8 for locations that will see that transition to snow first. So that's going to be locations to the northwest and North Texas. Then everybody else is anywhere from 4 to 8, and there still could be spots that see more than 8 inches in most of those counties. So we're going to watch it. It's going to be one of those things that we just have to watch unfold, unfortunately. So we're giving you the tools right now. You know what to expect. Then we'll see it play out as we go into the day tomorrow. So let's go over the temperature timeline tonight because that's the other part of the story. So we've got temperatures dropping tonight into the lower to mid 20s. Then look at tomorrow morning. We have single-digit wind chills. That's the beginning of it, and it will continue that way as we move forward. I want to look at our high temperatures as we move into the beginning of next week. Look at that. This is the high. This is the warmest we will get. We will be close to 50 degrees below normal as we go into Monday. 13 degrees. Yeah, I don't want to go outside. You don't want to go outside. Just stay in. Luckily, it's a holiday, so schools aren't in session already, so that's good. 19 as we go into Tuesday, and then we'll start to see everything moderate. But Tuesday morning, look at this. Yeah, you just got to take a second. Take it in. It's a lot.
Wow.
It is going to feel like 10 to 20 below 0. So let's go over some of the coldest temperatures since last time the temp was in the single digits was back in 1996 at 8 degrees. Last time it was below 0 was in 1989 at 1 below. Last time temperature was colder than 1 below was back in 1949. So we're going to be watching. That's why it's such a historic storm. That's why the governor was saying that. It's because we have a double whammy. We have the winter weather potential, and then we also have the cold. And then I'm not done. I do want to touch on midweek because this could be a storm that keeps us in our house all week long because we have storm number 1, which is starting tonight. Then we have storm number 2. That's Tuesday night into Thursday morning. Now here's a look. We're going to have a wintry mix down to the south and east, but we also have the snow for most of us. Accumulating snowfall possible, could be just as much in the way of snowfall totals as what we're dealing with tomorrow. but it's too early to really tell, and we're really focusing on what's going on as we move into tonight, tomorrow, and Monday. So we didn't want to get too into the weeds, but I do want you to know there's a second storm that we're watching. So let's go over the forecast real quick. 19 degrees tonight, wind chills in the low teens. We are going to see 21 as we go into the day tomorrow with moderate to heavy snow. Quick look at the 10-day forecast because I want to end on a positive note. I'm going to step out because look, it gets better. That's what we love about North Texas. This might be rare. This might be an event we talk about for many, many years to come, but in a week it's going to be near 60 degrees. So we'll keep you updated. We're obviously going to have all of the details for you. Any changes in the forecast, download the WFAA app. You need that. You get alerts. It's like a weather radio, and I will be constantly updating it tonight, into tomorrow, and through the week. Teresa?
Oh, Kaylee, I don't even know what to say. This is, like you said, it's something that doesn't happen in Texas. And there's probably some people who've moved here from the Midwest or the Northeast, and they're thinking, we can get through this. Here's what I have seen. I lived in the Midwest for a few years, and you know, there's a lot of heavy equipment that's in the Midwest. They know how to clear the roads. And no offense to all of our hardworking road crews, we just don't have the equipment here. We don't budget for it. We don't spend the money, rightly so. And so when this does happen, it is very difficult on everything, our infrastructure, and it is very, very hard. And so everybody needs to realize we're not just telling you this because we want you to be prepared in case. This is what the forecast is, and it's going to happen.
And somebody that just came from up north, you know, I will tell you that's good for you because I can help forecast this in a good way, right? But at the same time, all of the overpasses and the elevated roadways we have here, we have so many elevated roadways.
Right.
You can't go one route without going on an elevated roadway. So that's why you just need to stay home because you don't have the infrastructure in place. We've got the elevated roadways, and to be honest with you, you're not the other person in the other car.
That's very true. You may think you can handle it, but you don't know that the person next to you is able to do it too. So
I know there are people that have to get out though, like us and first responders and anybody going, healthcare workers. Blankets in your car, jumper cables in your car. Make sure that you have stuff. If you have the full tank of gas, if you get stranded.
I filled up on the way in.
Yep, so did I. So be prepared because it could happen where you get stranded.
I don't want it to happen to anybody, but we're trying to get everybody prepared. Kaylee, thank you for all of that great information. She mentioned our WFAA app, and that is incredibly important for you to have right now. There's a QR code on the corner of your screen, so if you just hold your phone's camera up to that, you can automatically download it if you haven't already. It's going to be really important for you to have right now because it gets you detailed information on forecast. You can see the radar for yourself. Kaylee will be updating things throughout the night. I know all of our meteorologists are going to be working really nonstop between now and the end of this threat. So again, realize that I know you look outside right now and you're thinking, they got it wrong. No, this is coming. We're looking ahead at the hours to come. It's going to be a long few hours. So be safe out there. Take care. We will see you on WFAA at 5, 6, and 10 tonight. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated here on WFAA.com all night long and tomorrow as well. Be safe, be warm, stay healthy, stay home. I'm Teresa Woodard. Thanks for watching.